Hello and welcome to our channel, MarshStream, your public performance broadcast platform. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. You can also donate to our tip jar and support the arts and artists of MarshStream by clicking the link below in the description. Check out our website, themarsh.org, for all upcoming live performances. Now, enjoy the show.
February 18th, I go to get my first COVID shot. It's so well organized, it's barely 20 minutes. And I'm in front of this lovely young woman with the syringe in hand. Don't I know you? Yes, Nancy, it's Amy. Amy, oh, how wonderful that I know and like the person who's gonna give me my shot. You look great, as always. Somehow the 30 years haven't been as hard to you. You started a lot younger than I, but you always look great. Nancy, you do too. And you're always fun to see. Now don't forget, you got to sit out there 15 minutes. There's so many people around. I get tired. I can't wait to leave. And as I do, I decide that my reward is I get to drive along the Mendocino headlands on the way home. There, walking by the side of the road, is Michael, a longtime friend of Floyd's and mine. And I stop. Hey, Nancy, good to see you. How are you? Well, I just came from my shot. Your shot? How'd you score that? I got to get mine. Well, they called me a couple days ago from the doctor's office and said that I could go up to CV Star today and get my shot. And, well, there's no pain at the site of the shot, but the emotional pain. There were all these people that I've known for 35 years. And I'm looking and thinking, how'd you get so old and decrepit looking? I wanted to leave before I got any of the answers, but then of course I get to the car and I glance up at the mirror and, oh yeah. It's old age, Nancy. We're all going there every day. That's why I'm doing burn piles. I'm going through everything in the house, the barn. I'm getting rid of old stuff. I'm the freest I've been in years and happy. Get rid of all that stuff. Well, my problem is these journals. I mean, I have one with me always. I have a book for reading, writing. I've kept them 56 years. This one was from the year Floyd was dying. I call through them, I'm reading, but I can't just burn them because there's these gems in them. Oh, depressing. Not my way. Burn and move on and walk and be right here. All that stuff going on out in the world, I'm done with that. All that crap on January 6th, I got so sick of listening to it. That sounds really good, Michael, but unfortunately, for some reason, I took in the words of Martin Luther King that we die the day we stop paying attention to things that matter. And I think January 6th matters far more than our administration or our news or anybody is taken in. Michael, those people, the men scaling that wall, those were trained soldiers and military people. And the Christians marching right with them. Jesus is our savior. Trump is our president, carrying the cross right next to the makeshift gallows that the Proud Boys had. Yes, Michael, for hanging Pence because he did the constitutional thing in counting the votes. Think guillotine, think French Revolution, Michael. That was a horrible, horrible day. And all those white boys, they walked out that night. They walked away. If that had been a Black Lives protest, they would have been shot or in jail by nightfall. You know that. But did we pay any attention to it? Oh, no. We had to move on to the inauguration. Just like after the 9/11, Bush said, go shopping. We just go into denial. I'm sorry, for my money, I think we would have done a lot better to have a really small, quiet little inauguration and a big investigation into what happened on January 6th. But I'm sorry, there I go again, my soapbox. Nancy, I didn't remember that you, oh God, I didn't know you were so passionate. And you really can talk about these things. You are a good orator, but it's not healthy, Nancy. And I know you know better. You were right there watching Floyd die. You know how fragile life is. You got to enjoy it right now. I'm going to make you come walking with me some morning, and we will not talk politics. Well, that sounds good, Michael. I will call you. We'll do that someday. And I wave and leave, and I don't tell him the other old age story. Monday this week, I go to the bank, and they direct me to a young man I've never seen before. And right next to him is this little plaque that says, I'm in training, be patient. I hand him my checkbook with $350 cash and an insurance check made out to me. He asked for my ID. Really? Really? I'd like to find someone out there on the street who'd come in here and put $350 in my account. Maybe 10 somebodies out there. Are you kidding me? He does not crack a smile. He hardly reacts. He can't. He's too steeped in homeland paranoia. While I'm standing there for the extra time that his training is taking, I'm scanning this beautiful small room with its old redwood paneling and the antique brass grills for the front of the tellers. And I'm remembering that beautiful winter's day 35 years ago that Floyd brought me here to open my account after I moved up from LA. And I'm remembering how happy we were, how in love, and how intimate this room seemed compared to LA banks. Floyd knew everybody and he was eager to introduce me, and soon I knew everybody. We never had to ask for each other's ID. We knew each other. We liked each other. And now all those people are either dead like Floyd or they've retired. But I'm called back from this reverie because the young man says, here's your bank book. But his training doesn't seem to be going too well, Homeland Security or no Homeland Security. I ask him some questions about another account, and he just cannot answer them. A few minutes, and Sharon, the manager, comes over to try to run interference. But by then, I'm kind of frustrated. So I just say, it's okay, Sharon, it's okay. The next morning, I go in and close my safety deposit box. Nancy, I'm really sorry. I know you're upset yesterday, but I thought we were smoothing it over. It's not your fault, Sharon. You cannot take me back 35 years ago when I was young and happy. And you cannot undo Homeland Security. This room is just too full of happy memories, and it's painful to come in here. As I walk out those beautifully carved doors, I'm still fuming. It just wasn't like this 35 years ago. Coming to the bank was a social event. It was fun. But then suddenly I hear this other voice saying, get a grip, Nancy. You are pathetic. And you're starting to sound like the MAGAs. How great it was back then, whenever this mythical then was. Come on, there was taxes and illness. It wasn't so perfect then. And you cannot bring Floyd back by closing the door of that bank. Just like the MAGAs cannot bring back some mythical great America theme park just because they outlaw gay marriage and abortions and shut those immigrants off with a wall. It's not going to happen. Nancy, you and the MAGAs need to see how it is now. You're going down the path of old age, and they're watching the end of the American empire. It's just how it is. Somehow these words going through my mind make me pause. And I stop and I look up at that iconic wood sculpture that so many tourists look at on this old Masonic building built in the 1870s. One of the Masons carved that. And when he died young, in his 30s, they put it up on top of the building. It's called Time and the Maiden, or Father Time and the Weeping Virgin. There's this very tall, imposing male angel with this scary looking scythe on his back. And he's standing behind the maiden. She's reading a book, the book of life and death, on a broken column with hourglasses close at hand. She has an urn, as in ashes, holder for ashes, in one hand, and an acacia branch in the other. The acacia branch is a multi-faith, beautiful image. It's said to be the wood that the Israelites used to build the Ark of the Covenant. And it's also the sacred tree of Al-Uzza, an Arabic goddess who was the one in charge of the changing seasons of life and death. To me, the most beautiful thing is that there, in the midst of all this wonderful symbology of the transience of life and the inevitability of death, the angel is very gently braiding the hair of the maiden. So I look at that, I start to think, I like it if that beautiful image of life and death could be more known in our culture that is so death phobic and supposedly Christian. But how many Christians are afraid of death? Even though they're scared to death of death, excuse my pun, even though heaven is supposed to be so wonderful. I would just love it if one of my more fundamentalist Christian friends could explain all of this to me, even though my liberal friends say, why do you want to understand them? You're not going to, you won't, they're crazy. But I cannot dismiss fundamentalist Christians nearly that easily because I was trained to be one, at least the 50s version. I was Sunday schooled in the most conservative version of Lutheranism. Yeah, the same Lutheranism that supported Hitler to the bitter end. And I was taught that I had to believe that I would burn in hellfire forever if I did not think that God, supposedly the God of love, murdered his only son because of my sins. I walked away from that church in college, but I could not so easily walk away from all the dogmatism and easy answers that had been drummed into me at an early age. And it is that dogmatism that puts me too easily on that soapbox I bring out, even though I know that none of my teachers, not Jesus, not Gandhi, not Martin Luther King, and not Rabbi Heschel, none of them carried a soapbox. Somehow all this thinking makes me decide the next day that I will call Carolyn, a lifelong Christian friend, quite fundamentalist. She moved more to the right. I moved way, way to the left. Nancy, oh, it's so good to hear from you. The kids have all been worried we'd lose our friendship because of this horrible divide that's been opened by all the Black Lives rioters and all the lies and problems about the election. Oh, but I shouldn't go on with all that. How are you? Well, it's a beautiful spring, but I'm really sad and I'm feeling old. Remember Paul, zany, wonderful Paul at the wedding? Well, his widow, Joan, just died at 96. They were the first people Floyd took me to meet here on the lane. So it's a really tough marking of age and death and life. And And I'm just sad. I mean, she was ready, just like Floyd was ready and Shadow was ready. But it makes me feel lonely to be left here alone. And especially as I look out at the world and what the Christians did on January 6th and how they keep making excuses for the police murders. A young Black person shot in the back as he's walking away, but somehow he's guilty. They even tried to make poor George Floyd guilty in the trial at the start. I mean, it's crazy. And as a sometime Christian, I'm befuddled. What, Nancy, what do you mean sometime Christian? Don't tell me you're lapsing from our childhood faith. No, I'm telling you, Carolyn, I just believe that God, whoever he or she is way, way too big and mysterious to be owned by any one religion. Remember that Jerusalem is the city of Islam, not just the two faiths that you pay more attention to. And all three of those faiths had the same golden rule: love your God and love your neighbor as yourself. Not that any of them have done a very good job at it. So I don't see how any one of the three can say God is on our side. We've done such a good job. I think instead of looking for goodies from that God, we should each see that God, she is suffering. We have destroyed the beautiful planet she gave us. And all the amazing animals that have gone extinct. And man who was made in her image, look what we are doing to hundreds of thousands of suffering humans around the world. Starvation. 600 people die in the United States a day, the richest nation. I just, it's too sad to me. God is suffering and we're suffering. Oh, Nancy, you just have always been way too worried about injustice. It's been that way from the start of time. And Jesus said, the poor you will always have with you. So why do you worry so much about it? God is in charge. And you know it's a he, Nancy. And God's in charge. And he is going to take care of all those wicked people. And he's going to lift us up and rapture the true Christians. And I want you there with us, Nancy. But I should not keep going on about this. I want to tell you about all the children and grandchildren, catch you up. And I want to hear about it. So I bite my tongue and I do not add that I don't think God's a puppeteer who's going to suddenly rescue us from this mess we've made. So I just say, yeah, Kathy, tell me how everybody is. And she does. By chance, 2 days later, I've made an appointment to go to a local fundamentalist friend's house to pick up camellia cuttings. Anita and I have been in the garden club for many, many years. And her husband, John, and Floyd and I always used to socialize. I have barely stopped the car when John and the dogs are running toward the, Nancy, we have the most exciting news. Kurt's been chosen to be the top instructor at the School of the Americas. It's a great promotion. School of the Americas? Don't you know, Ron, that is better known as the School of the Assassins? That's where we trained all the killers for the dirty wars in South America. Ah, Nancy, I know that, but wouldn't you rather have a Christian there than not? The Christ I know something about was a rabbi. He was the follower of the Hebrew prophets who preached peace. They told the rulers to beat their swords into plowshares. He wouldn't be at a killing school, Ron. But now, don't you think that we have to be fighting those godless Muslim terrorists? Well, I thought Jesus said, turn the other cheek and forgive 70 times 7. And kind of seems to me that the Crusades and the Inquisition, not to mention what we've done in Iraq, I think that's kind of godless Christianity, Ron. And we're still bombing and killing kids in Yemen. Where's godless, Ron? Well, now, Nancy, that is private morality. Turn the other cheek, that's private. The public morality is render unto Caesar what is Caesar's and God what is God's. I thought Jesus was spitting on the ground when he said those really cryptic words. I'm not really sure we know even exactly what they mean, but he was revolutionary. It was a revolutionary statement, looking at the ground. And he preached against the Roman Empire to free people and to feed the sick, heal people and feed the hungry. That's why he was killed on the cross by the empire. Oh, now Jesus was not a godless revolutionary, Nancy. You know that. He was a son of God who came to save us. Ron, I don't want to lose our friendship. So I'm going to just say, John, that we've got to agree to disagree. And I drove away thinking that. Agree to disagree. So now I have to rein in that dogmatic inner child that wants to get on our soapbox all too quickly. I know that my teachers, Jesus, Martin Luther King, and Rabbi Heschel, all died before the 70 years I have right now. Gandhi is the only one who outlived me, and he was not assassinated until he was 79. Jesus was killed by the empire at about a third my age, and Martin Luther King at 2/3 my age. And Rabbi Heschel lived to 65. That's 6 less years than I have right now. So who am I to be kvetching about getting old and mourning about what I don't have? I'm alive. So I'm going to resolve on this beautiful spring day that I will live life as a celebration the way Rabbi Heschel taught. And I will work to be the hands of God on this earth and the hands of my deceased teachers as long as I can to fight for peace and justice. And I will keep at it until that gentle angel of death decides to stop braiding my hair.
Thank you, Nancy. Come on back, take a bow.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And thank you all for joining us here.
Thank you.
We were glad to bring you back and
Thank you, David. Thank you.
And thank you all in the audience for joining us here on Zoom and on YouTube. And again, we'll have you up on our YouTube channel soon, Nancy. And we'll hope to see you again.
Thanks for all your tech work, David. Thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So everyone, thanks for coming, and everyone have a great evening. Yes, thank you. And good night. Good night and good luck. Good night and good luck as, what was his name? Edward R. Murrow. Edward R. Murrow, yes. Amen. We need another Edward R. Murrow. Good night and good luck. Yeah. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
How do I describe my journey with your mother, who takes care of you, who takes you to the doctor when you're sick? Your mother.
Good morning, New York. Buenos dias. It's me. What's up?
We went out for lunch at a sushi place where she tried sushi for the first time and she liked it.
I see that change can happen. I know things can shift and change for good.
I am dizzily dazzled with stars in my eyes.
Same level as I broke my neck. But he's not getting the same return of function I am.
And I don't want any of your smart aleck sex talk that I usually get when I get home.
This is beyond the Marsh because what you're doing is planting beautiful seeds for artists to grow.